Hi, Jonathan. Thank you so much for coming to the Investor Talk. How are you today?
I'm doing well, enjoying the heat wave as much as I can, and I'm going swimming later. How about yourself?
Start to be very hot. Yeah, and good here as well. Thank you. So let's start giving an introduction yourself before we talk about your thesis in investing in venture capital.
Yeah, so I'm Jonathan, and I founded Horizon VC. And Horizon VC is an alternative VC in the UK. And the way we invest is using a convertible future earnings agreement, which is basically where you pair a future earnings agreement to the founder and an ASA or equity in the company. So there's a debt equity model at play here, or what we like to call redeemable equity. Now, using this model, we aim to be the very, very first ever friends and family investor in the UK. And we're hoping to use this model to democratize entrepreneurship, particularly for underrepresented founders that do not have access to wealthy friends and family or need a first check at pre-seed.
Thank you. Before walking into all the topics, can you be more precise exactly how your model works? Because it's pretty different from the conventional venture capitalist.
Yeah. And I think the best way to do it is do an example, right? So let's say, for example, that you were building a business selling triangle toothbrushes. Okay. So let's assume that you pass our DD test and, we like what you're building. So we give you £20,000, and that initial £20,000 is a future earnings agreement. What that means is if you are earning £2,500 or more in your personal income, which is the money you take from the company and put into your personal bank account, you pay 10% of that monthly income until you either pay me 1.5 times or 30,000 in 5 years, 2 times or 40,000 in 10 years, or if you raise a qualifying round of £700,000 or more, the remaining unpaid amount converts to equity at a 20% discount to the lead investor's valuation with a £5 million valuation cap. If you do not earn 2,500 in a given month, then you just don't pay. So it's very, very flexible in terms of the ups and downs of, sort of like a business journey.
What happens to the share? Do you get any shares, collaterals, or actually you get share completely until the debt is paid?
We get shares at seed. So we don't have any equity in the beginning, but our advanced subscription agreement allows us to get equity at seed at that £700,000 qualifying round.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's very advanced in terms of how venture capital works today, which is pretty similar to everyone. All the funds has more or less the same model. But I like this. I like it. It's very unusual. It's very projected to the future, right?
Yeah.
To get into more welcome and less aggressive way versus the founders. That's great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. In terms of geography, where do you invest your money?
Right now, I think we are guaranteed to be able to invest in the UK, and we're looking for ways to be able to be a pan-European investor. I think our big challenge right now is to figure out our legal documents in terms of how we can best use legal documents to be able to invest in the rest of Europe, and so that's our long-term dream. But currently, we can invest in any EU citizen, but I think ideally it'd be best if right now they had a UK headquarter.
Okay, so your next step would be moving to the continent and try to find the right solution legally in Europe as well.
That would be amazing.
Where do you see the challenge in the structured contract?
Yeah, I think just one of the big challenges I think in investing in the EU is that each country has its own set of documents needed to get equity in the company.
Yeah.
And so it's not what I would prefer to see is one set of documents that are pan-European Union wide, and I can use one document and invest in anybody in the European Union. But the challenge is Germany is one set, France is one set, Croatia was one set, even Italy is one set as well. And so that involves a lot of money, being spent on a wide variety of legal documents to be able to invest in per country. Not to mention, I think, having to sign a wide variety of notaries, for example, particularly in Germany. I think in Germany you have to sign a lot of notaries to be able to get equity in a company, and they can't be signed online. They have to be signed in person in the bank. And so that's just one of like one of the biggest challenges, you know, I've heard. And it's just stuff I'm trying to figure out, you know, as I go along this journey.
Yeah, many people told me Germany is still very complicated. You need to go there personally, do a lot of stuff in person. It's very different from UK, very much.
Yeah, it's a challenge though, because Berlin's supposed to be one of the best startup ecosystems in Europe, and
Yeah,
it'd be a shame not to be able to tap into that.
it does. It does. Oh, maybe we change. So you say already when we talk about 20K, what's your average ticket when you invest in startups?
So currently, right now, we're doing just 10 to 20,000 pounds. And when we finish closing our next fund, we would like to upgrade that to a flat 30,000 pounds. But we don't anticipate ourselves going over 30,000 pounds anytime soon.
So you are pretty early, actually, you are very early when you invest your money. What are the top concerns and where do you find convincing when investing? What do you see because you are so early? The valuation is on the company, the team, the product or service that this guy are developing?
I think it's a combination. I think like our evaluation comes from evaluating the founder and their ability to build something legendary in, you know, in the space that that they want to build something in. So, you know, looking definitely at the potential of the team. And definitely, if I think from a product or service and your traction standpoint, you know, we look at a lot of landing pages, and the way we evaluate landing pages is through a framework called pretend prototyping. And so, pretend prototyping is a concept that says that you can validate whether or not people will want your product or service without building any product or service. All you need to do is like maybe design like a couple basic wireframes, you know, make like a short animated video, write some like, you know, clear basic explanation on your website, and then see if your target market will, based off of this explanation, either give a pre-order, a letter of intent, click on a fake payment button, or give up their phone number in exchange for an easier access to this hypothetical idea. And the idea is, if your product or service idea is so compelling that, you know, that people will want it before it's even built, then that's like one of the greatest ways you can showcase traction at the idea stage. And I think that framework also serves to eliminate a lot of founders that are building businesses that are more vitamins rather than painkillers.
That's brilliant. I mean, this should be the beginning of a unicorn, right? When people are willing to pay even without see actually what you are doing properly. But I do believe there is somehow of rationality in this. I think so. You are very much tech oriented. How important is in this new technology, digital era where face to face for many is not that important anymore? Is it for you? You need to meet founders face to face.
For founder interviews, I don't really do face to face. All of my founder interviews have been through video call so far. But in terms of like, if you're talking about building business relationships, then yes, it's extremely important. I think so much so that nowadays, I think when people ask me for Zoom calls, I try to take them out to coffee instead, because I just don't want to be looking at my computer all day. And I just think that life is so, like, the energy is so much different. Like when you get a chance to, you know, see a person, you know, right in front of you. And, you know, I just think that's like a next level of, you know, getting to know people. Like, I think if people want to call this Web 2 or Web 3, I think meeting people in real life is probably Web 5 or Web 6.
You're right. I mean, let's call it the chemistry that you can build, understanding of the other part of the business, which is the fund in your case, done in person is just different. There is nothing to do.
Absolutely.
Videos can simply give you many details that in-person meeting you can feel more than see. Exactly. How often do you like to meet funders after investing?
It's interesting. I think Because some of them we haven't had a chance to meet as much as we'd like. I think one of the guys we invested in is in a Madrid-based accelerator. She should be coming into London actually next month. So it'll be cool to get a chance to meet the team a little bit more. But mostly I think like a lot of our portfolio is quite busy, and so like we want to respect their time. I think sometimes we'll do things such as bring them together for happy hours. I'll invite them to some of the investor dinners I host in my spare time. And even like I think there's a guy in my portfolio that likes to play basketball, and at some point we're gonna try to chop it up on the basketball court. Just little things like that, and just shows solidarity. I think just saying that even though I put money into you, in the end of the day, I care about y'all, and I want to see y'all do well, both from a business standpoint and mentally as well.
It does. I mean, it builds the community, the sense of community. So it's very, very important. I do leverage a lot this kind of way to build up relationships as much as we can. How much do you get involved with your portfolio?
I think as much as they want, and as little as they want. That's how I like to describe it, right? I think within our team database, we have things such as like scheduling links, various perks, a big sort of a big page full of various articles that I'll write related to things I've observed in the business journey, and how to sort of hack your way around certain things, such as save money on this, use better strategy on that, use this trick when you go out and build business relationships and stuff like that. So I call that the Horizon VC course. But at the same time, I think some founders just want to be left alone, and you have to respect that. You bombard them once every month for their investor updates, and then after that, sometimes you just got to let them be and let them focus on building out their product. And that's another way of respecting, their time and, the stage that they're at.
I mean, what's your best way to add value to them? Where do you see your venture capital give you the best of helping them to build up what is to be done?
The best value that you can give them is different for every founder. And the way you figure out the best value you can give them is by asking them the best value you can give them, rather than assuming that what the best value that you can give them is. Every founder wants a different thing at a different stage, right? If a founder wants investor intros, then I'll do things such as invite them to some investor dinners that I host, just to like build out some relationships in the laid back arena while trying out some really cool foreign food. Sometimes it's spending time with them in strategy and helping them with their user research, helping them formulate their marketing plans, or even just giving them tips here and there in terms of how they want to navigate certain things such as hires and whatnot. Sometimes it's intros to people in our network. Sometimes it's just to sit down and if they want to blow off steam, then let them blow off steam. I think there's many different ways to provide value to a founder, but what's more important is what the founder wants as value, rather than us assuming what they want.
I agree. You need to give what they need, right?
Exactly, right.
I mean, you have a different way to structure your deals. How, in case you want, can you syndicate with other venture capitalists?
So we don't syndicate ourselves. We're gonna structure ourselves as a fund. But right now we're investing off of a balance sheet actually, and we're getting FCA authorization to eventually become a fund at the end of this year. Yeah. But I think in terms of for example, like if we want to have multiple investors in one deal, then we're very able to get into a portfolio company that has multiple investors. That's almost all of our portfolio companies we invested to date. We have people investing together with us because our ticket sizes are so small, and it's kind of cool. Some of the people that co-invest with us are our friends.
As you get very early, what's going to happen? Are you going to help these guys with your network to fundraise after having done your investment?
To the best of our ability. I think the best ways we can help them fundraise include helping them, what's the term? Helping them make warm intros to, various, angel investors and, VCs. Together combined with our team, we have a strong network of, angels and VCs, just because we like to build WhatsApp communities in, that arena in our spare time.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, if they want help with their pitch deck, if they want to do targeted pitch practice, if they want like help on strategy, something that I always say to our portfolio over and over again is, the best time to build relationships with investors is when you don't need them. Just like go find opportunities to hang out with investors and, talk about beer, talk about like cars or something like that, and that's how you're able to curate those warm intros at a very, very early stage. And so that's kind of like something that we try to emphasize with them a lot.
Thank you. I mean, there are some investors I've been talking to, they like company in their portfolio having some kind of interaction. Are you one of them?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea for sure. You can't force everybody to interact with each other, but I think down the line, I'm hoping to, find ways to strengthen the bonds between our portfolio, especially when I know one of them is in Thailand, and another one is in Spain. So I'm hoping that when they come back in town, I'd like to organize a happy hour between everybody, and hopefully that will be able to strengthen up some bonds between everyone. So I think that's going to be a lot easier done, especially since we only have a portfolio of 5. And so ideally, I'd like to start a little bit more of that community building process, I think, when they're all in town.
Yeah, this will be great. I mean, what's your point of view on pivoting? Many funders, especially the many I've been talking to, they have a perception of pivoting like fail, very close to, okay, I'm failing. So what's your advice to them when the time to pivot is arrived and they had to pivot?
Pivoting, I mean, is never a bad thing. I mean, sometimes I think, really, really self-aware founders know that a certain concept is not working, and, they have to try to find another way to, achieve the same goal. And for me, the way I look at it is, I think you start off at the base of a pain point, and if you're starting with a really, really good pain point, then there's quite a few ways you can try to solve a pain point, right? As long as you have a good foundation of, like, very, very high level pain point, then you're trying to build a painkiller for that pain point. Now, there's many different ways to, build a solution for a pain point, right? Like, for example, if I broke my tooth and my tooth hurts a lot, there's many different ways I could, solve that broken tooth. All right. I could go to the dentist and get a false tooth and then use that to cover up the spot. I can put some, tissue over it, make sure it stops bleeding, and then just enjoy having a gap in my smile. Whatever way it is, as long as they're able to generate, significant demand and revenue with the solution that they're building out to solve a certain problem, I'm happy to watch founders experiment as much as they want.
I mean, this is personal. Why did you decide to become an investor?
Well, to me, I think it was very, very important for me to be able to implement this alternative capital model in the UK, to use it to democratize entrepreneurship and not force all founders to have to build a very, very fast growing business, right? Some people just want to build like a stable, slower growing business, right? And I think that, to me, it's more about introducing a brand new type of investing to a brand new sort of investment instrument to, the venture capital world, rather than, just having the pride of being an investor on my own. But and I wanted to combine that, with, just bringing a brand new energy, to the founder atmosphere, trying my best to, be a down to earth, approachable investor that, founders can say whatever they want to, feel like they can joke around with, but at the same time, I think be around a group of people that, will hold them accountable, when they need it. I just want to bring a brand new brand. For me, it's all about, bringing a brand new type of energy, I think, to this ecosystem, and hopefully doing what I can to, help London, UK, and the rest of Europe, be one of the great startup hubs of the world.
I do believe venture capital needs a change. I'm completely convinced. We need to do something more exceptional for funders, more pro funders and less probably pro LP and shareholders. And this is how you build up a the best economy. So you're doing great. When you decide, because in the end of the day, maybe you have 10 startups pretty similar, very good funded, very good ideas, probably even a very good structured accepting plan. Which are the critical points that in the end of the day trigger your decision to invest in one of them? And maybe they are all very much similar in terms of capacity.
It's always a challenge because I think like I rarely ever face that scenario, right? And it's more of sometimes you'll see like 8 startups that make you, equally interested, but they're all doing completely different things. And I think the way we're currently looking at it, for example, is we like to look at the intersection between high pain points that are not straightforward. And what we define by that is essentially, is the founder solving something really, really painful for a specific target customer that a normal person, if they were not involved in this industry, either as a customer or as an industry worker, they wouldn't understand, right? And so I guess one example I like to use of that is one of our portfolio companies called GigBridge, which is they're doing a gig economy construction marketplace, pairing construction companies with freelance construction workers. And I thought it was a really, really good example of a high pain point that's not straightforward because I don't know anything about construction. I hate working with my hands. I'll be completely honest. Like I remember my parents bought me the Legos when I was 8, and most kids loved playing with Legos, and like I kind of had to be like, and I kind of had to be pushed to be playing with my Legos because I'd rather be doing other things, and so I do think that was a really, really good example of a high pain point. It's not straightforward because construction is an industry that frequently gets overlooked. And there hasn't been much innovation in construction in a very, very long time. And so so when it came out, we had a chance to put money in, we definitely took the opportunity.
I mean, if there is one, what can be the perfect recipe for a great pitch to convince you?
I have no idea. I don't know if there's ever such thing as a perfect pitch. And I don't really place as much weight on the pitch as other investors do, because I'm sure that a very, very charismatic man can sell me a tin of poo and make it sound like it's venture scalable, right? But I'm not going to invest in it because it's a tin of poo, right? So the pitch doesn't really matter as much to me. It's more about, do they know, are they building, do they know what they're building? Are they building something great, And I'd rather, do my own research in DD, and figure that out, right? And vice versa. I think when you use things like, weigh a quality of pitch, then you're inadvertently, putting those that are more introverted or not as great with their public speaking in a disadvantage. And I feel like those that are, just because someone's not great at public speaking doesn't mean that they're not going to be a great founder, right? Doesn't mean they're not going to go to build something great. And I feel like using that method all disadvantage just disenfranchises, and skews everything towards those that are really, really good at BS while talking.
Thank you. What's your suggestion to founders when approaching a VC? How they should approach you?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's interesting because we operate off a very cold intro rule, and so we just put founders decks inside of our application portal, and then that's how our team invests in everything week by week and stuff. It's interesting because I think the rule for us would be a lot different to the rule for pre-seed investor, right? I think if you're I think the smart general rule of thumb is that when you start going up the higher stages, it's cool just to always eke out some time in your schedule just to hang out with the investor crowd. Like even when you're far from needing them, just eke out some time and just hang out with the investor crowd, because why not? And then for us, something that we're hoping to do is, try to meet, more aspiring founders, founders that are young recent graduates that are working at Google and want to start a business one day, but have no idea what they want to start. And something that we're hoping to build a pipeline of is just, people in that position, and find ways to, nudge them towards, this journey of, building a cool business by testing out some ideas.
What about IP? It's important for you?
No.
If some startups should have it, not all of them.
Not really.
You're not focused on it.
IP is not that important.
Let me close with what will be, in your opinion, the most promising sectors for founders to start a venture in the coming 3-5 years time?
It's interesting. My answer to that is whatever sector a founder feels like there's opportunity. Because the minute somebody posts about how certain sectors have great opportunities on the internet, the minute that opportunity is gone. Because smart founders are always looking at opportunities 4 or 5 steps down the road, and doing things that are not, that will not get published on the public eye. I think success and insights are determined by what gaps can you see the cracks in between, and like what avenues can you do things and build projects that others won't have as much of an insight on. And so I do like founders that espouse, I guess, less popular insights per se. You know what I mean? I think that once an insight gets too popular, it's too popular.
Jonathan, thank you so much for coming to the Investor Talk. It's been a very great pleasure for me.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much.